I'm Chef Seizan Dreux Ellis, and we are at Cafe Gratitude in the Arts District of Los Angeles. Today I made I Am Confident, which is a cauliflower steak with sun-dried olive, tomato tapenade, coconut yogurt, hazelnut dukkha, and a little bit of gremolata. That was the first stage. Oh, an almond romesco I did. And then we did I Am Liberated. I Am Liberated was our basil, hemp seed pesto, kelp noodle pasta. Well, Cafe Gratitude was formed originally as a raw food restaurant back in 2004 in the Bay Area. Over the years, we've adapted and developed into, we offer now a full cooked vegan plant-based menu in addition to some raw items. And what's interesting about Cafe Gratitude is that we've evolved with a particular focus on making our food and the lives of our employees one of the primary focuses for creating change in people's lives. So most famously, we have a question of the day, which we ask our customers, which has them put their attention on the present moment, what's great about their life right now in the present moment. And we also have affirmation names for our dishes. So I said, I am confident, cauliflower steak. I am liberated, pasta kelp noodles. So those are the kinds of things which help support this ideology of this idea that we can create abundance and a positive atmosphere in the workplace. Well, we are a scratch kitchen, first of all, so, and we are completely plant-based. We also work about 95 to 98% organically. The only reason we don't purchase, the only reason we wouldn't be organic is if it's not available. There are certain things that we can't get organically at various points of the year. So we either eliminate that or we do get, let's say, the most sustainable or sort of known alternative that we can find, working with a farmer that we know is not certified organically, but is using organic practices. We're also committed to regenerative farming. The founders, Matthew and Tercy Engelhardt, have their own regenerative farm in California, Northern California. So whole food, organic, 100% plant-based, and delicious. So our initial diners were, I think, people that were drawn to plant-based food. They were particularly vegans. They were, let's say, more alternative because they were interested in the raw food. But I would say that our primary customer now are people who are interested in health. So they're people that are looking for delicious food that's not going to make them feel bad afterwards, that they can enjoy with other people that may or may not be vegan in their lives or plant-based in their lives. So we offer that kind of a broad palette of menu offerings that you're going to feel comfortable as a plant-based person or as a non-plant-based person. And I would say the majority of our customers are not plant-based. The primary piece of advice that I have when people ask me about creating vegan food for their menus is to really try to keep it simple. If you look to traditional cuisines, you're going to find a lot of already vegan alternatives out there in traditional cuisines. Legumes are vegan, grains are vegan, hummus is vegan. Those kinds of dishes that are already out there in the world, we're just not calling them vegan or plant-based, but if you stay simple and don't act like plant-based food is some sort of weird alien cuisine, it's easy to do. And don't overcomplicate the food. That was my other thing. I think a lot of people try to layer too many flavors in vegan food, and with this need to dress it up or make it better than it is. I would say let the whole food speak for themselves. Do as little to them as you can, because if you're getting a good quality product, they're delicious as they are. So you don't have to. My primary training was in Italy, and in Italy, they don't interfere with it too much. They try to let the actual produce shine. Well, I do see people being more focused on the wellness aspect of it. We started a meal plan this past year, and I think that's because people are looking to have as healthy a meal as they can at home without, sort of investing too much in learning how to make plant-based food. And I see the same thing with our guests in-house. People really want to look at food that's gluten-free, that doesn't have a lot of oil in it, that doesn't have a lot of heavy proteins that are going to make them feel bad the next day. So I think wellness is the future trend that I'm seeing right now, as opposed to, I would say, a little bit less politically based plant-based eaters and more wellness-based plant-based eaters. Well, that would be the first, right, is to not overcomplicate it and to also really give. If we're talking about vegetables, we could talk about vegetables, we could talk about legumes, we could talk about grains, but in vegetables in particular, which is what we focus on at Cafe Gratitude, look at it in the same way that you would a piece of steak or, some sort of an animal protein. I was talking earlier today about, we just did a cauliflower steak, that was roasted in the oven. So, looking at that head of cauliflower and saying, out of this, I can get 2 cauliflower steaks. I can also get some florets that I could use for a buffalo cauliflower. All those other pieces that are left over, I can chop up with a little hemp seed and garlic and use that to be a cauliflower rice. So if you're thinking about using the whole vegetable in the same way you would an animal protein, I think that's one thing to do. The other thing is to really look at how you're cooking the vegetables. I find that particularly here we get this little quick saute of an al dente broccoli, for example. And one of the things that I really try to do, and it's a bit of an uphill battle, is to actually look at the cooking times of the vegetables. Some things want to be a little bit softer. They don't want to be, because you're bringing a sweet, more caramelized flavor. So those subtle things, as a chef, you want to be looking at, as opposed to just having it be a quick, al dente California-style saute for vegetables on the side of your protein. Give them their due. That's what I would say. The thing that really inspires me about the work that you're doing promoting plant-forward cuisine is that it really does have an effect on people's health. It has an effect on planetary health. It has an impact, on animal welfare. It's something that's very close to my heart. So I just want to say I'm really appreciating the work that you're doing by bringing this to chefs and to culinary students. It's really important that we get this discussion moving forward faster than it has over the past 20 years. So thank you for that.